On the map, Djibouti is a tiny, sun-scorched speck in the Horn of Africa, but its size is deceptive. Djibouti sits at the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a choke point connecting the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean via the Suez Canal. Through this narrow waterway flows a huge portion of global trade. Whoever influences this strait holds a lever on the world's economy. Lacking natural resources, Djibouti has monetized its location, becoming landlord to the world's great powers. The US, China, France, Japan, and Italy all operate major military bases here, using Djibouti as a launchpad for counter-terrorism and anti-piracy missions. It's a rare neutral ground where rivals operate side by side, all paying for the privilege. Surrounded by conflict in Somalia, Yemen, and Ethiopia, Djibouti has managed to remain a stable anchor in a volatile region. This stability makes it indispensable, a safe harbor for projecting power into Africa and the Middle East. The government's Diplomatic Balancing Act has transformed a barren outpost into a modern hub for global commerce and military strategy. Djibouti's influence comes not from what it has, but where it is. In today's world, location is everything, and Djibouti sits at the intersection of shipping lanes, political fault lines, and military ambitions. Bigger countries simply can't afford to ignore it. Its future, and the region's stability, depend on its ability to keep balancing the interests of giants. Djibouti is the indispensable nation of the Horn of Africa. Djibouti began as French Somaliland, a colonial outpost established to rival the British port of Aden. For decades, it was a strategic stopover for the French Navy and a gateway to Ethiopia. The local Afar and Issa peoples were subjects of empire, their land a pawn in global games. When independence finally came in 1977, Djibouti faced a choice: align with a superpower or chart its own course. President Hassan Gould Abdadan chose strategic non-alignment. Djibouti would be open to all, friend to everyone, enemy to none. This policy of openness was born of necessity. With few resources, Djibouti's only assets were its location and stability. France was invited to keep a military presence, providing security and setting a precedent for future foreign bases. Djibouti signaled it welcomed foreign troops as a source of income and protection. The early years weren't easy. Ethnic tensions led to civil war in the 1990s, but a power-sharing agreement restored peace. While neighbors descended into chaos, Djibouti held together, reinforcing its reputation for pragmatism. Its open-door policy and internal stability made it an attractive partner for global powers. Slowly, Djibouti transformed from a forgotten colonial port into a strategic crossroads. Geography became destiny. The nation's pragmatic approach to foreign relations set the stage for its rise as a global power broker. Djibouti's story is one of survival through strategic openness. The 21st century brought Somali piracy to the Gulf of Aden, threatening one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Pirates hijacked vessels, driving up insurance costs and forcing ships to reroute. The world responded with a massive naval presence. NATO, the EU, China, Russia, India, and Japan all sent warships. But these fleets needed a secure land base. Djibouti, with its stability and location, became the obvious hub. The government welcomed foreign navies, upgrading ports and airports to support them. Djibouti became the nerve center for anti-piracy operations, hosting surveillance aircraft and drones. Nations paid handsomely for access, turning Djibouti into a bustling military hub. The fight against piracy cemented Djibouti's reputation as an indispensable security partner. Hosting multiple, often competing foreign powers without taking sides became its specialty. The piracy crisis was a strategic windfall, accelerating Djibouti's transformation into a global garrison state. Djibouti's place on the geopolitical map was now undeniable. Djibouti's value as a military hub became clear after the anti-piracy operations. The US established Camp Lemonnier, its only permanent base in Africa, for counter-terrorism and drone missions. Then, In 2017, China opened its first overseas military base here, a modern naval installation just miles from the US base. This turned Djibouti into a microcosm of great power rivalry, with American and Chinese forces operating side by side. Djibouti's government profits from the rent, using the income to fund infrastructure and public services. It skillfully plays powers off each other, securing better deals and more investment. France maintains its historical presence, while Japan, Italy, Spain, and Germany also have troops stationed here. This crowded military landscape gives Djibouti unique security. An attack would threaten the interests of multiple world powers. The country has become too important to fail, protected by the ambitions of giants. Djibouti's neutrality and strategic location make it a landlord to the world's militaries. The presence of so many bases is both a shield and a source of leverage. Djibouti's ability to manage these rivalries is its greatest strength. It's a small state with global significance. Djibouti is more than a military hub. It's Ethiopia's economic lifeline. Landlocked Ethiopia relies on Djibouti's ports for over 95% of its trade. Massive investments, like the China-financed Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway, have deepened this dependency. The railway and expanded port facilities have made trade faster and more efficient, integrating the two economies. Djibouti's revenue from port fees and logistics is substantial, complementing its military base income. The vision transformed Djibouti into the Singapore of Africa, a hub for finance, logistics, and telecom. The Djibouti International Free Trade Zone is central to this strategy, attracting global companies. But this dependency is a vulnerability. Djibouti's prosperity is tied to Ethiopia's stability. Any disruption in Ethiopia sends shockwaves through Djibouti's economy. Ethiopia is also seeking alternative ports, forcing Djibouti to innovate and remain indispensable. Djibouti's future as a trade hub depends on staying ahead of regional competition. China's influence in Djibouti goes far beyond its military base. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, China has financed nearly all of Djibouti's major infrastructure, railways, ports, free trade zones, and more. Chinese companies dominate construction, logistics, and telecom sectors. This partnership has modernized Djibouti, but at a cost-soaring public debt, much of it owed to China. Critics warn of debt-trap diplomacy. If Djibouti can't repay, China could seize strategic assets. The government insists Chinese-funded projects will pay for themselves, driving growth and jobs. Officials see China as a willing investor where the West hesitates. Still, the risk is real. Some projects struggle to generate revenue, and economic shocks could strain Djibouti's finances. Heavy debt to China could undermine Djibouti's strategic neutrality. Managing this relationship is a new balancing act for the government. Development has come with complex challenges and new dependencies. Djibouti's embrace of Chinese investment is both an opportunity and a risk. Hosting rival military powers is Djibouti's strength and its greatest risk. US and Chinese forces operate in close quarters, creating constant tension. A single incident could escalate, putting Djibouti in the crossfire. Internally, the country faces its own pressures: one-party rule, high youth unemployment, and inequality. Wealth from ports and bases doesn't always reach ordinary citizens, fueling potential unrest. Djibouti's economy is precariously balanced on port fees and military rent, making it vulnerable to global shocks. Disruptions in trade or shifts in military strategy could threaten its income. The government must reassure partners, invest in its people, and diversify the economy. Navigating ethnic and clan dynamics is crucial for stability. Djibouti's future depends on maintaining this delicate balance. The margin for error is razor-thin. One misstep could unravel its hard-won influence. Djibouti's story is a testament to the enduring power of geography. In a world of technology and ideology, this tiny nation proves that location is still the ultimate asset. Djibouti sits at a global choke point, making it indispensable to the world's powers. It has mastered the art of being needed by the US, China, Ethiopia, and beyond. By welcoming all, Djibouti has woven a web of dependencies that provide income, security, and leverage. Its small size is now a strength, forcing rivals to coexist on its soil. But the strategy is fraught with peril. Great power competition, internal unrest, and debt all threaten its stability. For now, Djibouti continues its balancing act, using its geography to secure prosperity and influence. It's a lesson in how pragmatism and foresight can turn a barren patch of desert into a global player. Djibouti's true power lies not in armies or wealth, but in the leverage it holds over giants. As long as the world's goods and navies pass through the Bab el-Mandeb, Djibouti will command global attention. Its destiny was written by geography, and it has embraced that destiny with skill and ambition. The unlikely power broker of the Horn of Africa proves that, in geopolitics, size isn't everything.